Hello, Simon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
How are you, Chayu?
Very good, very good.
Oh, great,
Uh,
great. Nice
uh,
to see you.
Nice to see you too after so many years.
Yes, I know, I know. Well, all the amazing things you've done. It's just great. Thank you so much for talking to me now.
You're most welcome. It all started from you.
No, well, it's all the effort of everybody else. So I'm completely insignificant in it all, but it gives me great pleasure.
Right. So since you are here, we do not want to waste time. Shall we start, Simon?
Whenever you're ready, Chayu, just
Okay.
let me know and we'll go.
All right.
Am I okay? Does that look okay? Have you got the sound okay? Is
Yes,
it all right?
you look great. You look great. We are
Okay,
already
well,
live on Facebook for your information.
okay, good. Well, then
And
I'm not
anyway,
embarrassed.
well, don't worry. You are very proper,
Okay,
right? The video recording will stay on Facebook, and then I will make it available on YouTube as well later on, and I share the link with you.
very good. Thank you.
All right. So let me say a few words to the audience first. Mostly will be Malaysian. Good evening, everybody, and good afternoon to Simon. It is 1 o'clock over there. It is 9 p.m. over here in Malaysia. All right, welcome to the interview session, a specially arranged interview session with the World Speech Day founder, Mr. Simon Gibson. World Speech Day has gone into the 6 years now, ever since it first started in 2016, and Malaysia has the privilege to be one of the countries that organized the World Speech Day since 2016 until now, right? So to start off, once again, welcome to this interview and thank you for accepting my invitation to be interviewed. A lot of people want to hear from you directly. So Simon, could you tell us more about yourself?
Yes, well, I will do in just a moment, but I just first of all like to say that I'm always in complete admiration and awe for the success with which World Speech Day has had in Malaysia. You've had some fantastic events, many events, and you've always spread them across different parts of the community, which I have particularly enjoyed. And I've always been in admiration of your own energy and support, Lee Chayu, for World Speech Day. You've been a kind of an example right from the beginning. And as you rightly say, Malaysia was, one of the founders of World Speech Day. And without your support, it would have been difficult to get it off the ground. So, we're all incredibly grateful for all that you've done to get World Speech Day to here, where we're now really in every part of the world. We reach about 100 countries, and so that's
Right.
remarkable. As far as me, well, I'm a writer and speechwriter by background, and I'm based in the UK. These days now I'm able to reach out to people all across the world, which is a remarkable development in just a few years. I started World Speech Day with just one basic idea, that speeches change the world.
Yeah.
It seemed to me that in politics, in religion, in society, in education, in business, it was speeches that really were the primary means by which ideas were spread. And that if that was the case, why don't we use it as a force for good? Why don't we use it as a way to reach out to people who wouldn't normally bring their ideas forward and involve them in the whole process of speech making, and through that to bring out new ideas and also to bring communities together through speeches. Those were the two thoughts that started off World Speech Day, and it seems that they have hit a point where people want to come and join in, and the idea is proven. We're now in our 6th year, and people want to join in from around the world.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
Sincerely
And
meant.
thank you. Thank you for the explanation about World Speech Day. You have been a writer and then a speech writer and so on. But why 2016? Only this idea came to you. Was there anything or anybody which triggered that you came up with this idea?
At the time, I was working on a database for speeches.
Oh,
And it was a free database, and I was making it available to people around the world. And the database was for contemporary speeches and historic speeches. And every day I was reading speeches, and I was one of the few people in the world who were constantly dealing with speeches all the time. And as a result of that, it did this idea was a light bulb moment, if you like. Speeches change the world. And so that's what really, that moment of, you know, kind of perception encouraged me to start World Speech Day. It wasn't being done. I thought it should be done. And,
right.
And it's grown.
Right. And then for 6 years now, it has been very successful. It shows that your idea really works. And a lot of people believe in you and the idea of World Speech Day. Now, the 15th of March of every year since 2016 has already become the World Speech Day that many have come to know. But why 15 March was chosen?
Really, it was just a slightly random choice. I made sure that there were no other important religious, cultural, or political events, annual events taking place on the 15th of March, so that it wouldn't clash with anything else. And largely that's been the case. It has, in Western culture, the 15th of March is always associated with the Ides of March, which has some kind of amusement. But really, it was a day in the spring that wasn't conflicted with other days, and we could build on. And so that's really where the choice came from.
I see, I see. So let's talk about the initial stage where the World Speech Day was started. Was it easy to get it off ground, to get so many countries involved in the first year, especially in 2016?
No, it wasn't easy. And I think, like everybody, I made the mistake at the beginning of trying to involve senior people. I thought that if I reached out to the tops of companies, to the tops of organizations, to the tops of countries, that they would agree, and then everybody would follow, and it would all happen. And fortunately, I learned relatively quickly that that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And that what you have to do is to reach out to people at, if you like, the ground level, and to involve people who simply want to join in, rather than people who can influence. Because those who want to join in do so freely and with their own passion and desire, and they then build it out. And that's what happened with World Speech Day. I started by simply contacting people in different parts of the world and asking them, would they be interested? And very often they were already involved in public speaking in some way. Maybe they were a public speaking coach, or they were in a school, or they were at a university, or they were in Toastmasters or TED. They had some connection, and I was able to build on that. And because we are entirely independent, and because we're entirely open, people felt that they could come on board quite quickly and be in a situation where they could, donate their time, but also feel that they were trusted and could build it out themselves. So that was the key, involving people at the ground level, not senior influencers. And I think that's been a wonderful sort of lesson for World Speech Day, and for so many other things that one might be involved in.
I think that was also a lesson where the organizers all around the world have learned about the senior people. But slowly, after seeing those at the lower ground, people coming in, and then they also get involved.
Yes.
And Simon, one thing which is synonym with World Speech Day is the tagline, unexpected voices. How does this brilliant idea of unexpected voices came around?
Well, with some modesty, it was my phrase and my idea. I was looking for a phrase that would encapsulate what World Speech Day was all about. And that was this notion that if we believe in humanity and we believe in progress, then the ideas that will shape tomorrow won't necessarily come from the elite, from people who are highly educated, from people who empower. The ideas that will shape tomorrow will come from unexpected places, because they always do. And so that was a way of kind of encapsulating the desire to reach out to new voices and to new ideas and to bring those into World Speech Day. And it also expresses our desire to involve everybody. Public speaking isn't just for the educated, it's for all of us.
Yes.
All of
Correct.
us to share ideas, and everybody has good ideas. That's the one great learning lesson. It's not the only learning lesson, but it is a learning lesson from the experience of the past 6 years, is that everybody has good ideas. Everybody has an idea to share at a local, a national, a global level. And if we release those ideas and we allow them to interact, if we allow people from one community to communicate with others, the ideas exchange and develop. And so that was the genesis of Unexpected Voices, to try and reach out to so many people and to bring in new ideas.
Yes, I personally like it. In fact, I have been using the tagline to convince speakers to come along to speak. A lot of them say, I am not good in speaking. No. But I tell them, we are about unexpected voices. We want to hear from those people whose voices were never heard. And this is one way where I managed to convince them. That was really a brilliant tagline. And then that's why I say it has been synonym with World Speech Day.
Yes, and you're so right that it's the way to involve people. People shouldn't feel that because they haven't made a speech before, or because they're not confident, that they don't have things to offer, because what World Speech Day has uncovered is that everybody does, and that should be something that pushes us forward.
All right. Now talking about participation, where you say initially you went for the senior people, those at the higher ranking, but however, it works better with those ordinary people like us. And along the years, since 2016, do you make a survey or research on the participation, who they are? Which group of participants make up the biggest group in World Speech Day all over the world? Do you really make such observation?
I mean, I could tell you from my own experience, I don't think we've done a kind of, detailed analysis. I would say that a good part of people are based in schools and universities, but the trend perhaps in more recent times is for more professional people to get and to join in. So that's a sort of a kind of a development, I think, which is growing. People in universities, lecturers, that sort of thing, are becoming far more involved, and professional people, lawyers, doctors, academics, and the range of speech has developed along with that. So we now have experts contributing in different fields that perhaps we wouldn't have done in the beginning. So it has developed more broadly, which is great.
All right. So Simon, after 6 years, coming to the 6 years in this World Speech Day has been very successful. I'm sure from the initial stage until the present stage, you have put in a lot of energy, a lot of effort to build up this World Speech Day. Now tell us, where do you get that kind of commitment, patience, energy to be with World Speech Day?
Well, I suppose because it's started and people have joined, and that gives one the required impetus to carry on. And I want it to continue and to grow. The great thing about World Speech Day is it exists independently of me and independently of you and independently of anybody. It is a day to celebrate. Anybody can be part of it. And it's simply been, you know, kind of up to me to try and chivvy people along to come in and join in, and to sort of push and cajole, because a lot of people leave it to the last minute, which I find very frustrating. That they don't decide to do something until mid-February, and I've always been in touch with them since October, and so
Right.
so I'm really just like a sort of kind of you know, worrying influence in the background, making sure that they don't forget. And this year, you know, like all others, it's the same. And I was speaking to somebody in Pakistan who joked with me that they never start getting involved until March. So what was I worrying about?
Oh,
It's always the same. And I suppose on a personal level, and maybe other people share this with me, I enjoy the global dimension to it all. That if I didn't get any fun out of it, I wouldn't do it. But I enjoy the global dimension of being able to talk with you, Chye, and to be able to talk with people in South Africa or in Buenos Aires or Macau, or you know, that's a great pleasure. And so you know, that's something that's that I've enjoyed, and therefore I continue to want to do.
okay. Now to the organization of this World Speech Day, you have a website, a lot of information were put there, the video, the guides, and sharing with people who would like to learn about speech making and presenting a better speech. How big is this organization or your team which work on this, especially on the website?
Well, very small on the website, but we have great people who volunteer to contribute. So that's really, so for instance, we have an ebook written by the previous World Speech Day ambassador for France. So people contribute and people volunteer, and that's really how World Speech Day is throughout. You know, it's an entirely voluntary activity. We do have a global advisory board who kind of steer things in terms of what we ought to be doing and what we ought to be thinking about and how we can plan for the future. And that's a group of about 6 or 7 people from different geographies. And we have a PR committee, and we have 1 or 2 other smaller committees that kind of help to give us focus. And so it's until now, of course, it's always been very devolved, that individual nations, individual event holders have been responsible for their own activities. And so they're the ones like you that have carried all the burden of effort. It's becoming a little bit more centralized, but I always want this notion of a highly devolved organization to continue. I think that's one of the reasons also why World Speech Day has grown and been successful, which is the idea of creating a connected but very, very devolved organization that people, there's no boss, there's nobody to tell you what to do necessarily. And if you trust people and you give them opportunity, they do it. And that's a kind of new way of organizing things. It's not the way that conventional companies or conventional organizations are run, but it is a new way and it works. And if you involve people and you give them opportunity and you give them trust, they come along. So that's an interesting lesson, certainly for me.
I think besides this World Speech Day, you are also showing a fine example of a good leader. That's why you can get a whole team running. Otherwise, it won't be easy. Your side is volunteer, and in every country, the ambassador are also doing what you are carrying out. Just like that, they are volunteering, and then they need to have that kind of leadership as well. I think you are good in identify these leaders to help this World Speech Day running. So,
Yes, you do need some representation. Yes, you do.
So Simon, let's talk about the participation again. How many countries were involved in 2016? And
About
how
30.
about 30. And what was the number in 2020?
Well, 2020 was a strange year because of the pandemic. In January of 2020, I looked out on the list of people who were going to be participating, and there was probably about 120 nations, so more than ever before. Right. And it was going to be an extraordinary year, and we had major events in places like India, which we'd never had before. And from middle of January through to March, one by one, day by day, I saw events being postponed and cancelled. And so we did have events in 2020, but nothing like the number of events that we'd had in 2019, where we had events in about 100 countries.
I see.
So the pandemic has, like for all sort of public events, it's had a disastrous effect, but it's not a mortal blow. We're still here in 2021. We're still holding events. We're still contributing, and many nations have postponed events later in the year. For example, Uganda has their event I think in July, not in. So people have moved it around to try and get over the problems. And so we're still we're hovering around the 100 nations involved mark, and I hope that the global virtual event this year will have speakers from very nearly that number of nations involved.
We will. Instead of having it physically, we will have it virtually.
Yeah.
In fact, Malaysia was lucky, or should I say we were brave enough to continue with the physical World Speech Day in 2020.
Yes.
There was very few. Right.
You were one of the very few.
Yes. Of course, we took the advice of the Ministry of Health to observe all the standard operating procedures. We have doctors to come in to speak also, to give confidence to the public about the pandemic. But this year, we can't do it. We will do it online.
Yes.
But so, because of the pandemic, because of this COVID-19, how has that affected our World Speech Day participation? Or the way it is going to be carried out?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I believe, and I wish it to always be in the future, a day which is characterized by local events in schools, in community halls, in universities, in clubs. That's the kind of genesis of World Speech Day, and how I feel it will always be in the future. This year and last year, and maybe even for maybe one more year, the emphasis might be more on the virtual side. But interestingly, that has emphasized the globalness of the activity. What people are particularly excited about this year is being part of a truly global event running for 24 hours, involving speakers from around the world. And that's a new dimension to what we're doing. So perhaps that will always continue. We will always have, on the one hand, local events, but also we may also have more virtual events in terms of linking people up in different geographies and creating this sense of a global community. Which people have responded to very well this year, and I think will continue to do so.
Right. So the World Speech Day 2021, what was the theme that you have proposed globally?
Well, the theme is humanity at a crossroads. I mean, that's our kind of headline, and it's a broad theme. I think it is one that's right for the times, one for us to sort of take a moment to stop and consider with all that's going on. I was speaking to a remarkable young man in Syria who's lived through all the problems in Syria over the last decade. And he came up with a great phrase. He talked about the pandemic being a test for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that stuck with me, that it is a test for humanity, and it's also a sort of a marking point of where we go now. And it has brought us all closer together.
Yes,
So we
yes.
can decide what to do with that. We can decide whether to cooperate. We can decide whether to have fewer borders. We can decide whether to use technology to integrate and to bring us all, more towards being global citizens rather than less. Or we can become more isolated. We become more afraid. We can become more isolationist. So that's why it seemed like it was a reasonable topic to talk about, humanity at a crossroads, what we do with the challenge and where we go forward. So I hope it's going to be something that people want to talk about, because they can talk about it at a personal level. They can talk about it at a social level. They can talk about it in terms of the environment and sustainable development. They can talk about it even in kind of the way in which new technologies are going to bring us together and integrate us, and the way that new technologies are going to shape society. And we have a number of people talking about artificial intelligence this year and the way that that's going to impact our interaction. So I hope it's going to be a very broad subject, and people, will kind of rise to it. I think it's certainly, so far, I've had a positive response.
Right. Yeah, I have to apologize first, because as for Malaysia, I simplify it. The theme will be hope.
Okay.
HOPE, right? So they can speak from there. Will be easier, and then it is relevant to the current situation. Of course, it still coincide with the global theme that you have set for. Yes. So we will go on. Malaysia World Speech Day will go on. Yes.
Well, of course, behind the theme is hope.
Yes. So that's why I say I simplify.
It works. It works. Once again, it's a moment of genius, Chye, on your part.
Thank you. I just make it easier, because it is also another way for me to convince the speaker to speak.
Yes.
With the pandemic and then the restriction of movement, I managed to get speakers from all over Malaysia, instead of just, because previously they have to be physical present at the venue where the event was held. Now that they just need to be on Zoom at the certain time allocated for them, then we have more variety of speakers.
Exactly.
Now come back to the yes.
It works. It works.
Yes, it works. So come back to speaker. For Malaysia, we always have 3 languages instead of just English. Beside English, we have our national language, which we call Bahasa Malaysia, or the Malay language. We also have Mandarin. And there was one year in 2019, we have 2 speakers spoken in Kadazan and Dusun language.
Okay. So
on the global side, do you see participants speaking beside English language during World Speech Day?
Well, I suppose we have the audience for English is larger, right? So it encourages people to speak English, and that wasn't or never would be a goal. If I'm honest, maybe it's an opportunity to practice, and I'm sure that lots of schools come on board because of that opportunity. That's a byproduct of things. It comes back to sharing ideas and bringing people together. That's the critical thing.
Right. For us, to encourage the usage of other languages beside English, because some of them, English might not be their mother tongue. They might not be so well. So they were hesitated, I don't speak English that well. So I said, okay, if you don't speak English, you can speak in our national language, Malaysia's national language, you speak in Mandarin. I cannot speak Tamil. Otherwise, I would have encouraged them to speak Tamil as well. This is the specialty of Malaysia, because most Malaysians, they speak more than one language. Their mother tongue, their national language, and also English, which is our second language. So the purpose is to encourage the speaker to come forward and speak. Once they have the confidence, probably they will slowly then move on to English language. Like you say, it's a byproduct. I think
Yes.
this is something really good.
Yes, I've always said that, I mean, World Speech Day has to be open, and therefore it has to be for any language.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, it's very, very important that people, they feel that they can communicate in their language, their own
Correct.
language, and that's fine, and that's equally valid as any other.
That is a good thing because the speakers, they are not restricted to the language use, right? And
Yes.
then for World Speech Day, we only have a theme. We do not limit the topic that they want to speak on. So they are free. And then you give free hand to the various countries which are taking part to decide on their own what they want to do and how they want to carry out.
Exactly.
So Simon, how long have we been talking?
We've got about 5 more minutes.
Okay, so anything that you want to share, especially with the Malaysian audience? Of course, there are audience from other countries who are tuning in as well.
Well, only that this year is a bit of an experiment with the online event, so kind of forgive us if there are difficulties, or you know, it's not entirely perfect. I think it will be a great success, and it would be wonderful if as many people not only kind of gave a speech with your own online event, but also joined in and watched. I think it's going to be fun to see people from around the world contributing speeches. We start in New Zealand and we work across the time zones through Asia, China, Pakistan, India, through the Middle East to Europe, to the Americas. So it's going to be a fun kind of journey, and I hope that. And I just, over and above everything, you know, it's thanks, thank you for all that you input. Every single speaker. It sounds like a cliche, but it is true, isn't it? Every single speaker adds to the whole, and the whole is more than some of its parts. So it's been a great journey so far, and it would just be a message to thanks for coming with us, and for continuing to offer speeches, to share your ideas, and to come back to that point. Everybody has good ideas, everybody. So that's something to, you know, to continue with.
Right. On my part, I would like to thank you for coming up with this great idea and giving your support all the way for all those years since 2016. Even though in 2016, I only had about 2 weeks to prepare, but we make it successful. And then, because that was when I was introduced to it, I say, okay, why not? I do it. And then, of course, from now on, the preparation will take longer. Started somewhere in January. Some even started previous year because there were speakers who booked to speak 1 year ahead.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yes, they are very interested. There was one year where I had a speaker who flown in 1,000 over kilometers away just to speak for that 5 minutes. Yes, so that kind of spirit really touched me. That was a wonderful experience. So Simon, thank you once again for being with us, sharing your idea. Thank you for being so supportive of World Speech Day, giving opportunity to so many people, especially those unexpected voices. Their voices are heard thanks to you and thanks to the great team, the great idea. So before we say goodbye, shall we take a photo together? A few thousand kilometers. Okay,
let's do that. A good idea. As long as you'll share it with me.
Yeah, I will share it with you. Okay.
Then I'm happy with that.
Okay,
we can cross a few thousand kilometers, as you say.
Yes. Okay, I will take a screenshot on my computer. So look at your camera.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you ready?
Yes.
1, 2. All right, let me check first.
Check that I'm looking too foolish on
you. Yes, the most important is you look good.
I think it's too late for that. It's too late for that.
Let me see. We can always take.
Take another one.
Okay, let me see. Okay. Okay. I think we take another one.
Take another one. Fine.
Right. So I save this file first.
Okay.
Okay.
See if that works.
The good thing. Okay. Right. Okay. All right. We take one more shot.
Okay.
Okay. Get ready. Look at your camera. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I think this one should be better.
Yeah.
After all, you always look great. So.
Too late. Far too late for that.
Okay.
World.
It's good. All right. Okay.
Okay.
So,
well, this is.
I will send the
so
link
much.
to you. I send a photo.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and wishing you all the best.
Wonderful, and happy World Speech Day coming up. And
right, happy World Speech
I look
Day
forward
to
lots more chats. It's been a great pleasure.
Okay. Thank you so much. We see you again next time.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will end the session. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.